Hello, I'm Andreas Larentzakis. Uh, I am the business development manager for Keytours Vacations. And today I'd like to take you on a short trip to Italy. I'll be pleased to share with you a short presentation around Italy and assist you of how to plan your next holiday to this great destination. But before we start, a few words about Keytours Vacations. We are a tour operator based in Fairfax, Virginia, and for 25 years we have been specializing in European holidays. The last 5 years we've expanded our destinations to South America, Asia, Africa, all the way to Australia. But today we'll focus on Europe and Italy. So let me start with the presentation, which after you view it, you will be able to talk to your local travel agent and share your ideas with them. And we work closely with your travel agents to put together a personalized itinerary for you and the group you're traveling with. What I'd like to cover today is, first of all, talk a little bit about the options, the accommodations, where it's best to stay at in various Italian cities or regions. Go through some sightseeing and activities that you can do while you're visiting this country. The ideal time to stay at in Italy, depending on, of course, on your vacation time. Best places to sample the local food, and of course to meet the locals. I must admit that I'm a bit biased, but Italy is one of my favorite destinations. I love the food, I love meeting Italians, and it's always good to learn a little bit of Italian before you start your holiday. I found it very often that when I ask for instructions in English, the Italians understand it, but they always reply to me in Italian. So let's have a look at how you can start your trip from USA. There are a lot of direct flights to Italy. Most Americans come into either Rome or Milan. These are two main gateways into Italy. Of course, you can also connect to Italy by other cities like Rome, into Rome via Paris or via London. There are different combinations. It depends on what you want to do as you go along. It's a good idea to start from one city and then continue in one direction, either north or south of Italy, and plan your trip coming out, returning back from another city. Our company will be happy to provide, upon arrival, private transportation, meet and greet services that will help you and take you directly to the hotel. Of course, apart from the transfer option, there are direct connections from Rome Airport by train to the city, all near Milan at Malpensa Airport. There is what we call Malpensa Express. It all depends if you want to drag your luggage in and out of the train, and then when you arrive into the city, find local transport to the hotel. In my view, it's always best to have an arrival transfer, which is seamless, and if you share the cost among 2 or 3 people, it doesn't cost any more than the actual train ticket. Depending on your holiday, you can also hire cars at the airport. It's a good way to start, especially if you've seen the city before. A lot of Americans have been to Italy many times, so they might want to go back, and it's not necessary to go through the city. So I just wanted to inform you that most of the rental companies, they have a desk at the airport. It's very easy to go through the parking and find the company that we will organize a car for you. Airport buses, of course, is another option, but again, it is not the easiest way because they leave you somewhere in the city center, and then you need to move on to your hotel from there with another taxi. If you're wondering about this photo here that I'm showing, it is the city of Positano in the Amalfi Coast. It's a wonderful destination for honeymooners and others who love this kind of scenery, which is great along the Amalfi Coast. What I'd like to cover today is start a trip from Rome, go through Florence, while in Florence, explore a little bit of the Tuscan countryside, take you across to Cinque Terre, and then up to Milan, and for those who have enough time, maybe also have a look at Venice. I like to share a map of Italy with you because it's easier to visualize the destination. And here, as you can see, Rome is in the middle of the country. So you have northern Italy going up and southern Italy going down all the way to Sicily, which is another great destination, but I don't have time to cover today. And there are different ways of seeing the countryside. A lot of first-timers prefer to go from Rome, visit Florence, and Venice, what we call the art cities of Italy. And this can be easily done in various ways, including a train, which is a very popular way of traveling around Italy. Most Italian cities are well connected with trains. Trains are very comfortable. You can book standard class or you can book a first class train, and within 2 hours you can move from one destination to the next. So how can one visit Italy? Of course, I just mentioned the train. In this case, we can organize your train tickets. We can organize your arrival transfers in its location, your hotel, and make some suggestions of places to visit. Another way of doing it is to join a small group and a set program which is designed to look after those who enjoy exploring places in the company of others. We recommend this being with a group of no more than 16 persons. And the driver and the guide will really unfold for you the secrets of Italy, will take you to local wineries, to walking tours of the city, great places to discover and have at the same time the information that they will provide you with. Another popular way that we see coming up lately are a lot of couples or families who'd like to do a private trip, and they hire a minivan, which we can organize, and travel through the countryside using the minivan, staying in lovely boutique hotels, and having a driver escort taking them around. Again, this is very popular in the Tuscany area and in Cinque Terre area, and even in Sicily. And finally, if all of the above does not meet your expectations, we are open, working with your travel agent, to design your individual itinerary and the way you want it, at the pace you want to travel. Rome is a great city to start with. I would suggest that you allow 2 or 3 nights in Rome, so you can discover this ancient city. Every little corner, there is a surprise for you. And of course, there is the Vatican for those who are interested in discovering the treasures of the Sistine Chapel, St. Peter's Cathedral. And here above this photo, I have taken it at the Spanish Steps, another highlight of the historic center of Rome. And within an easy distance from the Spanish Steps, you can go to the Trevi Fountain, you can go to Piazza Navona. I would recommend very much that you consider a walking tour of Rome, because there's so much to explore, and if you go on a vehicle, you will miss out on a lot of opportunities. While in Rome, there is a good chance that you could take a side trip, if you have time, to go to the Amalfi Coast. It can be done in 2 ways. You can take a day trip on a coach. It could be a long trip, about 9 hours. Or alternatively, you can add this great destination as part of your overall itinerary. Here I've got a couple of slides. This one here on the left is Sorrento, and you can see a couple of hotels right above the water with great views, and that's part of the reason a lot of people visit the Amalfi Coast, to experience these wonderful views. And on the right hand side again is Positano, which also has hotels and villas that can be rented. Many times we have customers coming to the Amalfi Coast by train. It's only just over an hour trip, and you go from Rome to Naples, and then with a local transfer, where you can organize a minivan to take you to the Amalfi Coast. Some people like to incorporate also Pompeii, which is a highlight in Italy, before going to the Amalfi Coast. So that can be also organized by setting up a driver and a guide to take you through Pompeii for 2 or 3 hours before reaching your hotel in the Amalfi and relaxing. And of course, while in Amalfi, you can visit Capri on a day cruise. Once in Amalfi, you have the chance to either go back to Rome, but there are direct trains to Florence. And here, of course, there's a change of scene because of the Renaissance era in Florence and the wonderful treasures one would experience visiting this city. Florence deserves even a stay of a week if you have the time, because there's so much to see and do. You can have a walking tour around Florence, not just one, more than one, of course. There is a cruise down the Arno River, which you can see in this photograph in the middle here. You can explore the Tuscany, which is nearby. There are other Renaissance cities like Siena and Pisa. And of course, with a transfer, you can reach even Cinque Terre. In Florence, once you're there, I just, given the time limitations of this presentation, I will only touch on a few things, on a few highlights. But here, again, you can see on the right a sample of the wonderful statues and treasures, which is just a square. On the left is a painting from the Uffizi Gallery, again, which attracts thousands and thousands of visitors each year. Every corner you turn around Florence, there's something to do and visit. But apart from that, of course, there is other experiences like what we call street food here. Last time I was in Florence, I discovered this little sandwich place, and there was a huge queue. I could even say the queue was bigger than the Uffizi Gallery queue. And by the way, talking about queues, we can always organize your tickets, skip the line, and make it easier for you when you are in its city, that you don't waste time queuing up to enter a museum or a gallery. So just to finish this little story, I learned that this little place prepares 700 sandwiches a day. It's that popular, and that's the reason I'm sharing it with you in case you want to try it. It's great food. Around Florence, I wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of the Tuscan region. Here is Florence. And of course, you've got Siena, and nearby Pisa, and a lot of little villages like Siena here, like San Gimignano and Monteregione. Lots of places that you can visit very easily, either with a half-day tour if you're staying in Florence, or you can hire a driver and a guide. We can organize it for you and do it at your own pace. It's very hard to choose where to go, but certainly while in the countryside, we usually stop on some local winery to sample the local produce and the great wines of Italy. I'm sure you know that Italy is one of the top producers of wine worldwide. It's a real great experience, and you get to be guided by the local owners through their winery, and they'll share their secrets with you. Food in Italy, nearby in Tuscany, you can also visit Parma with great history of food. And apart from the countryside, Pisa and Siena is very easily accessible from Florence. It's only an hour drive, an hour and a bit, and you can combine your stay in Florence with one of these two wonderful cities. Again, in Pisa, most people go for the Leaning Tower, and in Siena, there's a great ways to explore the city, mainly walking, and you don't need to necessarily overnight there if you are in Florence. So apart from Tuscany, just again continuing to give you a few highlights of Italy. There are villages in the countryside. One of them is San Gimignano, a village that can be reached by day tour, or you can drive to it. It's a walled city, as you can see. Again, little piazzas, cafes, wonderful food. Really a lot of memories to take with you during your visit in Italy. A few other favorite places of mine is Orvieto, a hill town that is surrounded by wonderful countryside, vineyards, and also, of course, has a few little boutique hotels that if you are inclined to stay in the countryside instead of a main city like Florence, this can also be organized. So this is a few ideas about Tuscany for you, and we'll be very happy to be more specific once you're ready to organize your trip. And I would like at this point to share a map and give you an idea of how you can go from Florence and to the region of Tuscany, which is a little bit here and below, into the other part of Italy, which is very popular and very well known, called Cinque Terre. Cinque is 5 and Terre means lands, 5 lands, but we're referring to 5 villages which are really picturesque and a great way to see another part of Italy along the coast. These villages I've put here on the separate map are the Rio Maggiore, Narola, Coniglia, Vernazza, and Monterosso. I'd like to share with you ways that you can visit these places. And to start with, from Florence, we can organize an easy train ride to La Spezia. La Spezia is here, and as you will know, Genova, which is here. So the 5 villages are between Genova and La Spezia. So by arriving in La Spezia and making this as your base, you will be able to reach these wonderful villages, and here is a small idea of what to expect. La Spezia is a nice port town before the start of the Cinque Terre Park. And if you overnight there, or you can have 2 or 3 nights there, you can easily visit the Cinque Terre, and I'll give you the ways you can do that. And while I was there in La Spezia, there was another nice township, only half an hour drive from here, called Porto Venere, which can be visited of an afternoon. You can have a lovely seafood dinner there and come back to La Spezia. So how can we visit Cinque Terre? Cinque Terre being a park, you can use a car, your own car, or a driver minivan transfer to take you from village to village. So as you drive along, you will enjoy this kind of views. And the only thing that we take into consideration is you cannot go all the way down to the actual village with the car. So there is parking. So there is a little bit of walking involved if you decide to explore the coast using a car or a vehicle. So take into consideration that you can do the 5 villages over a day, and there will be a few miles that you will have to cover walking, which is, of course, a pleasant way to explore the region. Most people prefer a cruise, a day cruise that starts at the beginning, let's say from La Spezia, and calls on the villages, and you have the time to go from the water to the villages and explore them, have a coffee, lunch, or whatever, depending on the time of the day. And then you can board the same boat and continue the next village and the next village. Just a little bit of a warning that this kind of boats can be crowded, especially during the high season. But again, these are places that are so wonderful and popular that a lot of people would like to visit them. And finally enough, one other way which I've done and I like is using the train from La Spezia. And yes, indeed, there is a small train that stops in every village, all the 5 villages. Or Therefore, you buy a day ticket, or you can organize it in advance, and then you can explore these villages at your own pace without being part of a group and having to follow the group. It all depends on the style of vacation you'd like to have. Apart from the 5 villages, there are a couple of places I'd like to mention also. So after the last village, there's one place called Seste Levante. Doesn't belong to Cinque Terre, but it's so wonderful. I would say it's my favorite place. Here, there's a hotel called Vis-a-Vis, which we work with, and you can imagine staying in this hotel and the view that you have there. Again, Seste Levante is another place that you can base yourself to explore Cinque Terre, and not only Cinque Terre, but also the Portofino. Portofino is in the Italian Riviera. Here's a photo of Portofino, and it's a place very well known to the jet setters around the world. So again, I'm not suggesting necessarily that you stay in Portofino, but you can take your camera with you and enjoy a visit there. It's very picturesque and rightly so, it earned its reputation worldwide. So after having traveled from Florence into Cinque Terre, you can continue your trip either by train to Milan or using the car transportation that we can organize for you. And on your way, you can visit Genova, the birth city of Columbus. It's a great city. It's a busy city, I would say. It's large, so it's not as picturesque and great like the Cinque Terre villages, but it's worth visiting and exploring. So once you get to Genova, as I said, you can again take a train up to Milan and finish your holiday there. Why are you going to Milan? Of course, it's a place that you can visit a number of highlights, including the famous Milan Duomo, which is here in this slide. You can visit the La Scala Theatre for a performance, or a lot of people just go to see the theatre because of its reputation. You can do a little bit of a last-minute shopping. I'm sure you're aware that Milan is one of the fashion capitals of the world. And if time permits, you can take a day trip to the Lake Como or Lake Maggiore, wonderful location. And maybe not just a day trip, but again, there are some wonderful hotels and places to stay when you are in that region. If you haven't been to Italy before, you cannot leave Venice out. So instead of taking a transfer from Milan to Malpensa Airport, which is the international airport I've mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, you can easily take a 2-hour train trip and go east to Venice. And I'm sure you all know Venice. As they say, a picture is 1,000 words. It's a great city to visit, to take a romantic gondola ride, to walk around. To me, it's like an open-air museum. I remember the first time I was there many years ago, even taking a ferry ride, which is a local transport, from the train station to my hotel. It was an experience. I couldn't stop taking photographs and being amazed by the magic of the city. So at this stage, I wanted to give you a little bit of a highlight and some suggestions of what you could do for your next vacation to Italy. There are a lot of choices, and we are here to work with you and your travel agent to put your next trip to Italy together. And to finish, we pride ourselves of being destination experts. All of our agents have traveled extensively in the areas that we sell. We are very quick in sending a proposal to you. We have local offices and representatives in every location you travel, which will give you the insurance of being supported 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You feel free to browse our website and see the variety of hotels and sightseeing that we have. And also check our reviews. We are proud to have 5-star reviews by our travelers who come back to us time and time again. And finally, we are happy to coordinate all your vacation aspects and ensure that you have a smooth holiday. I'd like at this point to thank you very much for spending the time to see this presentation, and I hope that will give us an opportunity to look after your next vacation to Europe and the rest of the world. Thank you very much.